West Virginia University, number 1, Ellis Leitster. A wide receiver from Wesley University, number 2, Larry Beavers Jr. From your own University of Charleston, West Virginia, defensive back, number 3, Kenneth Ridley. And from your West Virginia University Mountaineers, defensive back, number 4, Robin Sandman Sand. Fullback from Kentucky Christian University, number 6, Darrell Christian. And quarterback from Plymouth State University, number 8, Bruce Bolton. Wide receiver from Weirton Madonna High School, number 10, Connor Arlia. Running back, wide receiver from Kiffin University, number 20, Joe Lofton. And linebacker from Clarion University, number 21, Cam Dixon. And your local boy for linebacker at Bridgeport High School, number 23, Cole Smelling. Linebacker from Sunny Maritime, number 24, Brian Price. Offensive lineman from Midland State, number 55, Jared Hernandez. Defensive back, Kiffin University, number 31, Devon Dixon. Defensive line, Slippery Rock University, number 56, Joe Phillips. And your center from Azusa Pacific University, number 57, Joe Cobb. Offensive line from Mayfield State University, number 79, Israel Evans. Defensive lineman from Bethany Cookman, number 90, Harold Love. Defensive line from your West Virginia University, number 92, Larry Ford. And your quarterback from West Virginia University, number 16, Jared Brown. And wide receiver running back from West Virginia University, number 7, Noel Devine. Now introducing the West Virginia Roughriders coaching staff with your equipment manager, Sarge Cordray. Assistant coach, Antoine Williams. Wide receiver coach, Josh Howe. Offensive coordinator, Leroy Johnson. And your assistant head coach, Frank Thompson. And now, your man, our head coach, Luke Zimmerman. West Virginia Roughrider fans, please help me welcome your owner, GM Greg Orinario, accompanied by our Roughrider ball boy, Matty Filippelli. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please rise and remove your hats and direct your attention to center field through the tunnel
West Banco Arena, the site of tonight's AAL contest featuring the undefeated West Virginia Roughriders and the undefeated New England Bobcats. Good evening and welcome into the broadcast booth. I'm Chris Thoburn, joined tonight by Alec Moran from Fairmont State University. So, Alec, thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast here tonight.
Thanks for having me, Chris. I'm really excited to do the game tonight.
It's going to be a very exciting game. Both these teams coming in tonight undefeated, so somebody's O has got to go here tonight. And the West Virginia Roughriders coming off that huge victory over the West Michigan Ironmen by a score of 33-28. Alec, it was back and forth that entire game, and then coming right down to it, Cole Smelly steps up and gets the game-winning interception in that game.
Well, not only does the hometown hero Cole Smelly get the game-winning pick, but the game-winning touchdown, the possession before that by none other than Connor Arlia from Weirton. So it was a really great finish for the Roughriders, and I think they're going to ride that momentum into this game.
New England coming off a 56-26 victory over the Jersey Bearcats, a team built kind of on like semi-professional players and some professional arena players as well. So they get the victory there over the Jersey Bearcats, and then they opened up the season at the Berg Defenders, a 68-30 victory. So one opponent that the Bobcats and the Roughriders have in common for this game here tonight. So the Bobcats have won the toss, and they have chose to receive. They will be moving from right to left as you are watching on YouTube Live. They are wearing the white jerseys with the blue trim, the white pants with the blue trim as well. The Roughriders will be kicking off, moving from left to right in their home jerseys with the black helmets, with the awesome Rough Rider logo on the side. Black jerseys with the green numbers, black pants with the green trim once again. So, Alec, there was a few things Coach Zimmerman said earlier this week that he wanted to correct a few things. You got to interview him after the High Point game. We talked to him a little bit after the West Michigan game. Just a few mistakes, a few kinks that they need to work out going into this game here tonight.
Well, I think Mook was so disappointed after that game based on the turnovers that we normally don't see out of this Roughriders squad. You know, we didn't finish the game how the Roughriders are supposed to finish games. Mook said it would get fixed and it would get cleaned up, and I expect that to happen tonight.
The Bobcats once again will receive. Trying to find a 15 on my roster. I do not have a 15 as of right now. So we'll try to get you the name of that player as well for back deep there for the New England Bobcats. Special thanks to everybody tuning in for tonight's game. Roughriders fans and also our guest, the New England Bobcats. Talked to Drew Bolton from the Roughriders before the game. He said he's going to have a lot of family and friends tuning in for this game. The Plymouth State product from up around that area. Anthony Prevost, he has the big leg. He is very happy to be back home for this game, as if those of you that saw it on the West Michigan stream, that roof was extremely low there. So it kind of took us out of the kicking game a little bit. So Anthony Prevost very excited to return to the friendly confines here at West Banco Arena. Brief delay here to start this game. Don't forget the Roughriders will also be in action next Saturday, Childhood Cancer Night. That game is now a home game between the Roughriders and the Berg Defenders. Prevost has the ball teed up, and we are all set here from West Banco Arena with the somebody's O has got to go type game for the Roughriders, and the kick is going to roll out of bounds for a touchback. So a great kick there by Anthony Prevost to avoid the deep man, and the Bobcats will start on their own 5-yard line. You know, Alec, another thing I'd really like to see with Prevost is he'll try that Uno at some point as well. Don't forget, fans, if you're not too familiar with the arena game, right off the kickoff, if you get it through the field goal post, it is an Uno, and I actually got to call one in the first game from Anthony Prevost.
Well, when you have a kicker like Anthony Prevost, you have a really good shot at going for the Uno a lot of times. However, it could backfire if they get the return down the middle. It's a little bit easier to return a kick in the Arena League versus traditional style football rules. Not as many defenders.
A lot more different
Shorter
rules.
field.
Yeah, I mean, a lot different strategy. As coming in at quarterback for New England is going to be Gio Sanders. He is a very, very crafty quarterback. He can scramble and he can throw the ball as well, but it's going to be a handoff here on the first play for the Bobcats. It's going to go to Darrell Cyprian, and he will have no gain on the play. Might have even been a loss on the play. Actually, no, they are going to give him a yard up to the 6-yard line.
And like you mentioned, Chris, Gio Sanders is a very explosive guy, especially off the ground, and he's going to get outside the pocket and create some havoc. It's going to be a tough decision for the Roughriders, whether to go after him or to try to drop back and give him some time to throw.
We saw that in the first 2 weeks when they played the Defenders and when they played the Bearcats last week. He scrambled a lot, but then he was also able to get off some good passes as well.
Yeah, we'll see if it gives us some fits tonight.
Twins here to the near side, one receiver to the far side for the Bobcats. Sanders in the shotgun formation. Going to send a man in motion, and we're going to have a flag on the play. We're going to have a delay of game call against the Bobcats, so it'll be half the distance for New England. So a little jitters right now for the Bobcats to begin this game. The man in motion is going to be Luis Garcia. Also the near side receiver is Dennis Brandon. Garcia, the man in motion. Sanders back to pass, and it is going to go in front of his intended receiver, Dennis Brandon. Falls incomplete. It'll bring up 3rd down and long for the Bobcats. So, Alec, on that one, the Roughriders getting a lot of pressure in the face of Sanders.
You got to think that our goal tonight is to try to get a lot of pressure on him and kind of force him to throw the ball without, running on us.
Now, when you have a defensive line like the Roughriders with Larry Ford, and then you have Joe Phillips in there, and then you add Harold Love, you're going to see a lot of pressure coming from the Roughriders. So Sanders is going to have to get rid of the ball really, really quick.
Well, you're looking at one of the strongest defensive fronts in all of arena football, so
absolutely.
No surprise.
Sanders is going to send Garcia in motion for the Bobcats. 3rd down, 12 upcoming. Here comes the pressure looking across the middle into no man's land. Will fall incomplete. So that'll bring up 4th down for the Bobcats. As Coach Mook is shouting out some instructions there to Brian Price. Now, this was one thing that I did see earlier this week in practice. The coaches, they were working a lot with the linebackers. There was some things in the West Michigan game that they weren't too happy with because there was a lot open in the middle in that game. So that's one thing that the Roughriders are trying to tighten up here tonight.
Well, I think against West Michigan, you had a lot of key, crucial first downs right down the middle of the field. So that's got to be something that Zimmerman wants to fix and clean up, especially in a situation like this where we have the opposing team backed up so far.
4th down and 13, and the Bobcats are going to go for it. Here's Sanders. Here's what I talked about with him being able to scramble, but he is going to be brought down at the 10-yard line. So the Roughriders are going to have very good field position on their first offensive drive.
Chris, you can't really draw up a better defensive possession than that to start off the game.
So on a 4th and long like that, you're going to see that a lot in arena football as well, that the teams, they elect to try, they don't try the field goal, but they try to go for it, and that's why sometimes you can see these 1st down and goals early on in the game.
Well, there's no punting in the arena football, so you pretty much either have to go for it unless you're close enough, or you have a kicker with a big enough leg to boot it from the far back.
First offensive play of the game for the Roughriders. Connor Arlia and Noel Devine will be lined up to the left side with Larry Beavers, who will be the motion man. Jarrett Brown coming in under center for the Roughriders. Going to send Beavers in motion. Brown back to pass. Going to be a quick pass over to Noel Devine. Pass is going to fall incomplete, and that'll bring up 2nd down and goal for the Roughriders. So, Alec, Noel Devine was a natural running back when he was in college, so trying to adjust to the arena game now as a wide receiver.
It's got to be tough for him because he's not used to lining up as a wide receiver and running routes all the time. I mean, sure, he caught passes out of the backfield, but it's a whole new game for him. The field's a little bit different too, so I think he's still adjusting, but a pair of touchdowns last week. I think we're going to look to get him open early and often, try to get him hot.
Incredible touchdown catches in that game as Devine's going to go in motion. Brown back to pass, looking toward the end zone, and it is going to be picked off on the play by the Bobcats, and the Bobcats might have a touchdown on this one, and they do. It'll be a pick 6 all the way from the other end zone, and picking up the interception on that one is Keon Robinson. For those of you that are MEC fans, that name might sound familiar as he is a Shepherd University product, and he will get the pick 6. And for the first time, the Roughriders find themselves down at home. It's 6-0.
And it's funny that that's the first person to make a play for New England because Keon Robinson was the guy that we talked about before the game, being a Wiviac, former first-team Wiviac performer and All-MEC as well.
So that strike right at 10 minutes for the Bobcats, and they have a 6-0 lead here in the first quarter of play. And they're going to go for 2 on this one.
You got to think Jarrett Brown would really like to have that one back.
Absolutely.
The double coverage.
Trips to the far side. Man goes in motion now for the Bobcats. It's going to be Sanders on the keeper play. He is going to be wrapped up by Cole Smelly, and the 2-point conversion will be no good. 9:30 on a running clock here in the first quarter. The Roughriders find themselves down 6-0 to New England. So on that play, once again, just a bad read there by Jarrett Brown, and the defender Keon Robinson steps up, as he did many times when he was at Shepherd University, and kind of took a unique path through college football, but also to arena ball as well.
Yeah, and when we looked at him, he played 3 years and then took 2 years off and played his final year at Shepherd after a 2-year hiatus. So interesting to see him back on the field in West Virginia after a little bit of a hiatus.
Yeah, definitely good to see him back. And, unfortunately on an opposing team uniform, but once again, good to see those guys coming through the WIVIAC, through the MEC, with the name change in the middle of the year there. So you and I both pretty familiar with the WIVIAC conference and the MEC. You coming from Fairmont, myself coming from West Liberty.
Interesting to see some of these guys still continuing their playing careers and still finding success in different leagues across the country.
It really is nice to see. And even if you go through a lot of arena lineups, you go through a lot of Canadian ball lineups, you're going to see a lot of names from the MEC and from the WIVIAC conference as well. Mahomes Jean Charles set to kick this one off for New England, and it's going to be the Swiss Army knife, Anthony Prevost, back deep for the Roughriders, and the kick is going to go out of bounds as they are going to avoid Prevost on this one. Go out of bounds at about the 10-yard line, so that'll bring it back up to the 15-yard line where the Roughriders will begin their second drive of this game.
Chris, I've watched a lot of different kinds of football, and this is probably the first team I've ever seen to have their place kicker also be their kick returner. A little bit of an interesting, like you said, the Swiss Army knife of sorts.
And that's another thing that you're going to see with these guys, with this league. I mean, guys can play any position. They can play defensive back. They can play. They can play defensive back. They can also play wide receiver. It's just the one thing that you're going to see in this league when you're only allowed to dress 21 guys. Arlia will be the man in motion now for the Roughriders. Jarrett Brown back in under center, looking downfield, has some time in the pocket, pump fakes once, looking out to his left, and the pass is going to be complete to Arlia inside of the 20-yard line, and that'll be a first down for the Roughriders. Ball will be on the 17-yard line. So a lot of time there for Jarrett Brown. So you have to imagine that the battle of the trenches, usually you try to get rid of the ball in 2 or 3 seconds, but Jarrett Brown was able to hang on a long time on that thanks to some good blocking from his Roughriders offensive line. Man in motion is going to be Larry Beavers. Brown back in under center for the Roughriders. Dropping back, 3-step drop, looking over to his right. Let's go with the ball! Connor Arlia has it in the end zone. Touchdown, Roughriders! A 17-yard pass from Jarrett Brown to Connor Arlia, and Arlia has his first touchdown of the game. And it looked like it almost slipped out of the hands of Jarrett Brown, but Arlia coming up big in the end zone for the Roughriders as Anthony Prevost is going to come in to attempt the extra point out of the Drew Bolton hold. And Prevost, he was just booming them in practice. One of them almost actually hit you in the warm-ups as well.
Well, he's kicking them clear over the net, so.
And the kick is up, and it is going to be through the uprights. 7:32 on a running clock, and the Roughriders have a 7-0 lead. So, Alec, Jarrett Brown, he comes out. First drive doesn't go the way that he wants, but on the second drive, even though it slips out of his hands, his wide receiver, Connor Arlia, coming up with the big reception. You have to imagine it has to be a momentum builder.
Well, you're talking about a guy, Jarrett Brown, played Power 5 football. Maybe you've heard of him, had a pretty good career for the Mountaineers. An early pick six isn't going to shake a guy like that. He's had too much experience. Then when you got a guy like Connor Arlia who seems to be on complete fire these days, anything you throw in his direction seems like he's going to come down with.
Now, Connor Arlia, you and I were talking before the game. You actually didn't have the pleasure of watching him actually play in high school. So, he is definitely a big star out there for the West Virginia Roughriders, and obviously in this area too as well. And we talked about Ross Comas, another guy that is an NFL draft hopeful as well. So But Ross Comus, NFL draft hopeful from Weir Madonna. Anthony Prevost is not going to get this one under the roof as well. And this is one thing that, he has been practicing. He's been adjusting as well and trying to, with the kicks, with the lower roof here in West Banco Arena, he's been trying to adjust to. But unfortunately, that one's going to go right off of the ceiling. First down and 10 now for New England. Ball will be on their own 20-yard line. Rough Riders lead 7-6. 7:22 on a running clock here in the first quarter.
New England's going to look to bounce back after a very shaky first possession. Obviously, Giovanni Bernard is going to try to get something going on the ground, but they've been really hopeful in stuffing him, and he hasn't really had anywhere to run so far.
Like I said, I was really, really impressed with the way that he was able to get himself out of trouble in the first two games. And he did it almost once again here tonight. Sanders, a quick pass is going to fall incomplete for his intended receiver. Be Dennis Brandon on that one. And it'll bring up a second down and 10 for the for the Bobcats.
And you see what that pressure from the first possession did is Bernard let go of that thing pretty early. There wasn't anyone really coming right at him. He was just scared to get hit, it looked like. They were coming after him.
When you have the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Larry Ford, coming at you, you're going to get rid of that ball pretty quick. Second down and 10 upcoming now for the Bobcats. One receiver to the far side, two receivers here to the near side. Garcia will be the man in motion for New England. He's going to roll out to the right side. Here's the snap. Sanders back to pass, looking across the middle, finds a wide open Dennis Brandon, who bounces off the tackle of Robert Sands, and he will have the Bobcats first down at about the 16-yard line.
And that's exactly what we talked about, Chris, of getting slashed down the middle, and the New England Bobcats took full advantage on that play.
And that's one thing that they struggled against West Michigan was those routes across the middle. The middle has been wide open there for the opponents so far, so that's one thing the Rough Riders are going to have to try to tighten up here tonight. Cyprian with the carry now. He is going to be greeted by Cole Smelly and also Harold Love. It'll be a no gain on the play, and we'll bring up a second down for the Bobcats, as Cam Dixon's going to have to check into the game now as Smelly's helmet came off. 7-6 Rough Riders, 5:34 and counting here in the first quarter, but New England has the ball on the Rough Riders' 15-yard line. Man goes in motion, it's going to be Garcia. Sanders back to pass, looks across the middle, in and out of the hands of his intended receiver, Bernard Davis, who's also one of the other quarterbacks on this New England team, and that'll bring up third down for the Bobcats. Clock strikes right at 5 minutes. Special thanks to everybody tuning in on YouTube. Also got to give a well wishes, out to our friends in Richmond tuning in for tonight's game. Garcia will go in motion for the Bobcats. Looking across the middle, pass is going to be intercepted by the Sandman, Robert Sands, and he is going to return it for a short gain back to the 10-yard line. So a misread there by the quarterback Sanders. And the Sandman, Robert Sands, with the second interception in as many games.
Yeah, the Sandman was just lurking back there, and they really just threw it right into his hands. There's not much, I guess it was a misread by the receiver or quarterback, but right into his hands, and the Sandman ain't going to drop that. Rough Riders ball.
He had a big interception in the beginning of the West Michigan game. And that gets a big one in this game that could potentially turn the tide once again. Trips here to the near side. Joe Lofton in at wide receiver with Connor Arlia and Larry Beavers. Darrell Christian is the running back for the Rough Riders. Jarrett Brown in under center. Here's the snap. It's going to be a quick pass over to Larry Beavers, and Beavers is going to be stopped behind the line. Alec, that's not something you see very often when Larry Beavers has the ball.
Beavers is the guy that's normally down the field or dancing in the end zone. We're going to look to get him hot as well. He's normally been the guy that's carried the load, but we've had a few guys over the last couple of weeks that have got more receptions, and I think that's due to the defense's attention on Beavers. He's a guy you can't forget about her. That's 6 points.
They're going to say no gain on the play. Will bring up second down and 10 for the Rough Riders. trips here to the near side as Beavers is going to go in motion over to the far side. Brown in under center for the Roughriders. Brown back to pass. Pass is incomplete for Larry Beavers, but we are going to have some laundry on the field on that one. And on the coverage there was Deshaun Grove for the New England Bobcats.
Be interesting to see what this flag is, offsides.
So I'll bring up 2nd down and 5 now for the Roughriders. Ball will be on the 12-yard line. .317 and counting here in the first quarter of play. Beavers will be the motion man once again for the Roughriders. Devine and Arlia, the near side receivers. Brown back to pass, looking across the middle, but finds Arlia striking down the right side. He's hit hard, but makes the catch at the 11-yard line, and the Roughriders have a first down. Connor Arlia, this is a guy, once again, he came out for the starting lineups and did a backflip. So you definitely can tell that he can get up in the air, and he showed his athleticism on that one.
Well, Connor, not only the favorite just because he's a local, but the guy's been putting up numbers every week in, week out. So, I mean, he's been a factor for us every game.
Arlia going to be the motion man as we have trips here to the near side. Brown going to pitch it over to Darrell Christian, who tries to make a move, but he is going to be brought down at the 10-yard line for a short gain. We'll bring up 2nd down and 9 now for the Roughriders. Darrell Christian, also another local guy from Steubenville, Ohio. Played his college ball at Kentucky Christian. Getting some time at running back for the Roughriders. Twins here to the near side, one receiver to the far side. That's going to be Larry Beavers. Arlia, the motion man now for the Roughriders. Brown looks in, is able to fit it in through a tight pocket to Larry Beavers inside the 5-yard line, and it'll bring up 3rd down for the Roughriders. As we have to mention, the Roughriders, they don't necessarily need a touchdown right here. They have a little bit of room to where they could actually gain the 1st down marker.
Had Arlia floating across the middle of the end zone on that play. I thought he might get number 2.
Jarrett Brown is not able to find him on that one, and I think they're talking about it a little bit in the huddle now that he was pretty open. 3rd down, call it about 2 for the Roughriders. Overload the right side here. Beavers, Devine, and Arlia. Darrell Christian, the running back for West Virginia. Beavers going to be the motion man. Brown in under center, going to drop back to pass. Here comes the pressure, gets a nice block. Brown looking toward the end zone, and the pass will be incomplete for Larry Beavers, and that'll bring up 4th down for the Roughriders.
And Beavers does not look happy. Don't know whether that was a miscommunication from Brown or not. He came straight at the defensive back there, and as soon as he went around for the post, he was open.
This is one area that the Roughriders, they struggled against West Michigan as well. We had a lot of drives inside the 5-yard line, just not able to capitalize.
Well, the run game in arena football isn't as prevalent, so it makes the tight yardage situations that much harder when you're throwing the ball 90% of the game.
Clock is going to strike right at 9 seconds. Play clock is at 12 seconds. So we'll see if the Roughriders are able to get this one off before the end of the quarter. And they're going to send the Beavers in motion, but the clock is going to strike at 0. And that is how we will wrap up the first quarter of play. Your Roughriders have a 7-6 lead over the New England Bobcats. So, Alec, the Roughriders, they come out, they get an interception, they throw an interception rather on their first drive, but then they come back and answer back right away.
Right, that's what you expect from one of the best teams in the league. I mean, we come out and throw a pick 6, but a team like this isn't going to go down. You got to know that New England, they're ready for that. They're ready for us to come back and strike, and they got to put up points because they know we're coming for them.
Yeah, and this is one league too. Like I said, it could be. There's a lot where you're going to see a lot of points sometimes in just the first half, but then you see a lot in the second half because teams are going to make those adjustments on both offense and defense. So once again, I mean, you got to kind of feel each other out because it's not necessarily the same thing where it's like, oh, you could go back and you can watch film on multiple teams. Sometimes you only get films from like maybe one game if you are lucky.
Right, and we normally haven't started out games this slow. This was a very slow first quarter, and like you said, the teams are filling each other out, and I look for an offensive explosion, whether or not to finish this half or in the second half.
So next weekend, a game where the Roughriders, they're going to be giving back towards childhood cancer. So next Saturday, May 4th, that is now a home game. For those of you that did not realize that game did get moved here to West Banco Arena. So $12 tickets starting out, but $2 for every ticket will go towards childhood cancer and also for Mascots for a Cure. But here's also the best part. For every point that the Roughriders scored, $10 will also be donated to Mascots for a Cure. And once again, that's the West Virginia Roughriders and the Bird Defenders. That game next Saturday, May the 4th, and that'll be a 7 o'clock kickoff between the Defenders and the Roughriders. So, once again, we hope you can be here, but if not, you could also catch the Roughriders right here on YouTube and also on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So make sure you're following the Roughriders on all of those social media platforms. Wheeling Park dance team finishing up their routine here on the field. For those of you that aren't familiar, one of the local high schools here. They usually have an enrollment between 1,500 to 2,000, so one of the larger schools in the state of West Virginia.
And what a huge play to start the second quarter, right?
Big play here to start the second quarter, as I guess we're going to have to get the dance team off the field first. Fourth down upcoming now for the Roughriders. Don't forget, they don't necessarily need to get in the end zone. They can just get the 2 yards to the first down marker. Brown's going to send Beavers in motion for the Roughriders. Back to pass, looking across into the end zone. Touchdown, Roughriders, Larry Beavers. So how about that to start the second quarter of play? Larry Beavers into the end zone, and the Roughriders have a 13-6 lead. Jarrett Brown's second touchdown pass of the night. Anthony Prevost in to attempt the extra point out of the Drew Bolton hold. Here's the snap. It's a low one. Prevost able to get it off the goalpost, and it'll be no good. So 14-13 remaining here in the second quarter of play. The Roughriders hanging on to a 13-6 lead. So Anthony Prevost misses that extra point, but the Roughriders still hanging on to a 13-6 lead. You know, we were talking earlier off the air about Drew Bolton. Knows a lot of these guys from New England. Like I said, he also plays semi-professional football up there as well. So once again, a special welcome to his family and friends listening in here tonight. But he is another guy that he can do it all. He can line up at wide receiver. He can line up at quarterback. And then he is the master of the drop kick. You and I were talking a little bit about that, about all the practice. But the main thing that he told me, it's all in the drop.
Yeah, Bolton's a guy that you can really put him in nearly any position on the field. He's just a warrior, and he's got a ton of experience playing an arena ball. And I think Coach Mook is confident putting him at quarterback as he is receiver, holder, etc. And of course, the drop kick's going to become a fan favorite if it hasn't already.
I was talking to him at practice. I mean, obviously, quarterback is the position that he likes the most, but he said, hey, you know, I wouldn't mind lining up at wide receiver as well. And Anthony Prevost is another one that can do that as well.
Yeah, and like you talked about, it happens a lot in arena football with only 21-man rosters.
Here's Prevost with an attempt, and the Uno is good. So the Roughriders will have a 14-6 lead. What a boot there by Anthony Prevost to get it under the scoreboard and through the field goal post for the Uno. My goodness, that was impressive.
And how ironic is it to miss the extra point and then come back and hit the Uno? I'd say that's a good comeback by Anthony Prevost. Say he's happy with himself.
And that's one thing that I really do like about this league. I mean, you really think about it, it could be a 9-point turnaround in this league if you really wanted to. So if you get the touchdown, then you get a 2-point conversion, and then you get the Uno. It's not like outdoor football where, oh, 8 points is a one-possession game. No, I mean, in this league, 9 points can be a one-possession game.
And I think that really helps with the competitiveness of the league because, like we talked about earlier, coming back's a little bit easier. A few quick strikes and you're back in the game, a couple unos, you're right there.
First down and 10 now for the Bobcats. They'll be on their own 5-yard line after the uno by Anthony Prevost. Sanders is going to elude a bunch of defenders. He has a lot of room at the 25. He's at the 20. This is why, like I said, he can really scramble, and he will get down to the 15-yard line for the New England first down.
And that's exactly what we were talking about before the game started. He's the kind of guy that once he gets loose, he's going to get you 40 yards on right there.
6 foot, 185 pounds is Gio Sanders. So ball will be on the 15-yard line for New England. Like I said, he is definitely the MVP of this Bobcats team. I mean, he can do it all out there. Eluding all 3 defensive linemen on that one. He had a lot of gray in front of him. Man goes in motion now for New England. Sanders back to pass. Feels the pressure once again. Has to get rid of it a little too quick this time. Intended for his receiver, Dennis Brandon. And that'll bring up second down for New England. So kind of short arm that one, stepped out to the right and had a little bit of a short arm on that release.
Sanders hasn't looked comfortable in the pocket yet. Again, I don't know if that's whether or not due to maybe the best defensive front in the league or he just isn't comfortable passing the ball right now. Of course, he's going to look to get himself some momentum on the ground.
Second down and 10 upcoming, 12:22 remaining here in the second quarter of play. The Roughriders leading 14-6. Man goes in motion once again for New England. This time it is going to be a handoff to Xander Perry. He doesn't have a lot of room as he'll get up over to the 13-yard line where he is met by almost the entire linebacking core of the Roughriders, and that'll bring up a third down and about 8 for New England. One receiver out to the far side. Check that. Now we're going to have 2 receivers there to the far side. One receiver here to the near side. Man goes in motion for the Bobcats. Sanders going to step up once again, but he is going to be hit into the boards by Brian Price after a gain of 1 yard, and that'll bring up fourth down for the Bobcats. Brian Price, one of the guys coming over from the Jersey flight from last year, the Harlem, New York native. He's another guy I got to talk to at practice this week and just working on different things, and he's really been working a lot with Cole Smelly. Cole Smelly, a rookie in this league, and Brian Price has really been working with him on a lot of things on the difference between outdoor football and arena football. Fourth down and 7 now upcoming for the Bobcats. Twins to the far side. One receiver here to the near side. Sanders tries the hard count. He's going to fake it now. Pressure's coming, and the pass is going to fall incomplete. As applying the pressure on that one was number 90, Harold Love. And that'll be a turnover on downs for New England.
And once again, the pressure just too much for Sanders there. Had nowhere to run, had nowhere to throw.
A lot of mutual respect there between Love and Sanders.
Yeah, good sportsmanship.
You're going to see that a lot, too. I mean, the guys, they're going to come out, they're going to play hard, but they're going to respect each other at the end of the game. Clock strikes at 10:57, 14-6 in favor of the Roughriders. Ball will be on the 12-yard line. I mean, that's what we talked about in the beginning of the game with Gio Sanders. He's going to have to get help from his offensive line if he's going to be successful. Beavers, the motion man for the Roughriders. Twins here to the near side. It's going to be Divine and Arlia. Jarrett Brown back in under center. He's going to drop back. Here comes the pressure. Stepping up, has Beavers wide open, but he is going to throw it behind his intended receiver. And that'll bring up a second down for the Roughriders. So the pressure started coming there on Jarrett Brown, got rid of it just a little bit too late.
Yeah, I know that wasn't a completed pass, but look at the speed on Beavers. I mean, you can see why the guy scored so much. Just flat out burned his guy and got behind 2 defenders.
He is an arena veteran. I mean, you just look at his resume, all the different leagues and all the different arena teams that he's been with. Also spent some time with the Carolina Panthers. Twins to the far side, one receiver here to the near side. Divine goes in motion for the Roughriders. Brown, pressure coming, avoids one tackler, tries to get rid of it in the direction of Connor Arlia, but that ball is going to be thrown out of bounds once again, and that is going to bring up third down for the Roughriders. Antonio Young was the one applying the pressure there for New England. Bring up 3rd down and 10 for the Rough Riders. 9:30 on a running clock. West Virginia leading 14-6. So once again, it's just been another battle in the trenches down there between the Rough Riders and New England. Gene Charles was also on the pressure there for the Bobcats. Beavers going to go in motion once again for the Rough Riders. Twins here to the near side. Brown back to pass. Pressure coming. Has a lot of room in front of him, and he is going to take off up over midfield before being knocked into the boards, but not after gaining another West Virginia 1st down.
And Jarrett Brown, normally not the guy known for his wheels, but he saw a lot of greenery there, and he headed for the hills.
Keon Robinson making the stop there for New England. He had to come all the way from the other side of the field to make that stop.
Yeah, Arlia tried to get him with the block, but he was too far behind him.
So ball just over midfield to about the 24-yard line for the Rough Riders. Gene Charles, once again, it has been a battle down there between him and Joe Kupakavicius, the center for the Rough Riders. Twins to the far side, one receiver to the near side, and Beavers is going to go across the line a little bit too fast on that one, and the ball will come back over midfield, and it will be 1st down and 15 for the Rough Riders as a miscommunication between Larry Beavers and Jarrett Brown. Ball will be moved back to the 21-yard line. And the Rough Riders will try this one again.
Chris, you gotta think that the West Virginia Rough Riders are going to be looking for Noel Devine to start carrying some of the load. He's been cut off early, but you know he could burst at any time.
Absolutely. Still adjusting to the arena game. He was another one I talked to earlier this week. Larry Beavers will be the man in motion now for the Rough Riders. Here's the snap to Brown. They're going to bring a lot of pressure. Brown's pass is complete to Noel Devine. He's going to make a cut at the 10-yard line, but not before being knocked into the boards. And we're going to have another flag on the play. I'm not sure if Beavers started too quick once again, but they're pointing toward the Rough Riders' way. The ball's going to be coming back once again. So that's something that we've seen that call. We saw it a lot last week against West Michigan as well. You have to have so much separation there between the offensive line. You can't hide your running back there. So that's going to move the ball all the way back to the 16-yard line. The Rough Riders need to at least gain the 13-yard line on the other side of the field for a 1st down.
And just as soon as I brought up where Noel Devine was, he catches the pass for the 1st down, unfortunately brought back by another penalty.
Christian will be the running back to the right of Jarrett Brown. Larry Beavers on the far side. Connor Arlia with Noel Devine in motion. Brown back to pass. Here comes the pressure coming. Pass is complete to Devine, and he will be brought down. See where they're going to mark him on this one at the 20-yard line. Alec, you mentioned Noel Devine. He had the 2 amazing touchdown catches in that game against West Michigan. One of them almost went completely over the boards when he made the catch.
Noel Devine's been a special talent since he was 16 years old. I mean, he was a YouTube sensation before he ever got to Morgantown, and then it was fireworks once he got here. And the fans, the WVU fans especially, aren't surprised at all by the things Noel Devine does on the field for the Riders.
And that was one thing that he said, that one of the reasons why he chose to play here for the Rough Riders was that West Virginia being so close to Morgantown. Trips to the near side. Handoff's going to go to Darrell Christian up the middle, and he'll gain some extra yards to the 15-yard line. We'll make this a 3rd and very manageable for the Rough Riders.
A rare run play. Neither of the teams have really gotten off the ground running. Besides from a couple QB keeps, neither running back has really had any green to run on.
And the running backs in the arena football, I mean, they seem to be a lot bigger as well. You don't see the quick, elusive guys.
They're more like fullbacks.
They really are in this league, and they're very impressive. And if you kind of think of it, too, it's almost like an extra offensive lineman as well.
It's just for the short yardage situations. I mean, New England's tried to get their run game off the ground. We've just stuffed them every time for the most part.
Trips here to the near side. Beavers is going to be the motion man for the Roughriders. Here's the snap. Dropping back. We're going to have a flag on the play as I think Beavers got a little bit too much of a head start once again. But it's not going to matter as Jarrett Brown is going to be sacked all the way back at the 22-yard line.
And give credit to this New England defensive front as well. They put just as much pressure on Brown as we've put on Giovanni.
So this one's actually going to come against New England, which was surprising on that one. Our apologies, folks. We actually don't have a 47 on the roster that we were given as well. I believe that was Orlando Prescott. However, we have a couple guys on the roster that was given to us that they didn't have the numbers listed. But I believe that is Orlando Prescott was the guilty party there for the Bobcats. Trips here to the near side. No receivers out to the far side. Beavers will be the motion man. First down and goal rather, upcoming for the Roughriders. Beavers in motion. Brown dropping back to pass, and he'll throw it behind his intended receiver, Larry Beavers. Will fall incomplete. Will bring up second down and goal for the Roughriders. Beavers and Brown, they just don't seem to be in the same rhythm to begin this game.
Beavers looking at Brown pretty frustrated right now. He definitely had the separation, looking for another score.
But see, that's one thing that you really don't want to frustrate your quarterback as well. You know, you want to be encouraging, but just tell him, you know, hey, just put that ball a little bit further ahead of me, and we'll be able to make this happen. As it's 14-6 in favor of the Roughriders, 4:11 and counting here in the first half of play. Twin trips here to the near side, no receivers to the far side. Beavers will be the motion man for the Roughriders. Brown in under center. Dropping back, quick hitch, passes complete to Beavers, and he is going to be stopped just shy of the goal line. So a quick hitch route there by Beavers. Literally almost just a ball length, not even a ball length away from the goal line on that one.
And not as easy as a catch as you think, because he caught that thing with just his fingertips. It was thrown a little high, but Beavers, for the most part, he's going to come down with mostly anything that's thrown in his direction.
Trips here to the near side. Darrell Christian to the left of Brown. He gets the ball and will rumble his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Roughriders.
And that's that fullback-like behavior from the running back that we mentioned earlier. That's a big old boy coming at you down the middle.
It really is, and yeah, that's one thing that he did even in his days at Steubenville where he was a defensive tackle, but just an amazing run there by Christian, and he'll get the Roughriders back on the board, 20-6 right now.
Prevost looking to bounce back after the missed extra point from the time before.
Well, don't forget, though, he did get the Uno right after that. So Anthony Prevost in to attempt the extra point out of the Drew Bolton hold. Here's the snap. It's a good one this time. Prevost is going to get it up through the uprights and good. 2:39 remaining here in the second quarter of play, 21-6 in favor of the Roughriders. But you go back to that second missed extra point, rather. It was a very, very low snap. So Bolton did a really good job to be able to get the ball down, but just sometimes that split second can just throw off a kicker on an extra point, field goal, anything like that.
Absolutely, and credit to Bolton, because that, like we talked about before, the guy's a Swiss Army knife. He really does do it all, and he's the glue of the special teams more or less as far as holding the ball. So he was able to get it down. Prevost missed it, but he bounced back with a Uno, and maybe he's going 2 for 2 on this possession.
Now, they've said a lot of times in football, quarterbacks and kickers especially, you have to have that short memory. Whether you throw an interception, whether you have a turnover, a missed kick, you have to have that short memory. And that's one thing that I can definitely – there's a lot of things I can credit Anthony Prevost for, but definitely that. I mean, he just has that short memory. He's going to go back out and try to do better on the next one. We'll see if he'll attempt the Uno once again on this kickoff. It's a nice line drive kick. This time it's going to be a little bit short. It's going to go out of bounds. And Prevost – but I think that was definitely planned on that one, kicking it far over to the left side. Just got a little too much boot on it.
The Riders don't want to give the New England team any momentum off the kickoff, anything to spark their offense here.
New England, they had a few things going on their last drive, but then it stalled inside of the 15-yard line after the long run there by Gio Sanders. Clock will start running here again in the second quarter with the Roughriders hanging on to a 21-6 lead.
Now, most teams you'd think that the Rough Riders would be just trying to get a stop here and head into the half for the lead, but I think Coach Mook is trying to get another touchdown before the half. Wouldn't shock me at all if he's trying to get a stop and a score.
Well, once again, I mean, the clock is usually constantly moving in arena football, too, so you have to take advantage of any opportunity that you get. Twins here to the near side for the Bobcats. One receiver over to the far side, and we are going to have a whistle. I believe it's going to be another delay of game against the Bobcats. Sure enough, that's what it's going to be. So it'll be first down and 15 for the Bobcats from their own 15-yard line.
Been a pretty sloppy first half for both teams as far as penalties are concerned.
Yeah, it really has, which is kind of surprising to see out there. So first down and 15 now upcoming for the Bobcats. Man goes in motion for New England. Sanders back to pass. Here comes the pressure. Finds a man wide open across the middle. That's going to be Garcia, who makes a nifty cut at the 15-yard line, and then he is going to be drilled by the Slippery Rock University product, Joe Phillips, but not after picking up a large gain and a Bobcats first down. Garcia, 6 foot, 175 pounds. It'll be the first time out here for the Rough Riders. Ball will be on the 11-yard line for New England. Tonight's game is brought to you by the following sponsors: Broadwater Properties, Sport Your Colors, Sipco Solutions, The Windmill, River City, WTRF, iHeartRadio, Trinity West, and Main Street Bank. Thank you very much for being a part of West Virginia Rough Riders football. So if you're the Rough Riders here, Alec, I mean, you can take a pretty large lead, two-touchdown lead rather, into the halftime. Excuse me, I almost went back to my hockey days there when I was doing play-by-play in hockey. But into the halftime, so you got to imagine that they need a big stop right here.
Yeah, definitely rather go in with a two-touchdown lead rather than a one-touchdown lead.
Receiver goes in motion. That's going to be Garcia for the Bobcats. Sanders back to pass. Had a man open across the middle. The pass is going to be complete to number 21. That's Cyprian. Now remember, you're not down. You have to be down by contact in this league, and they're going to say he's going to be down at the 1-yard line.
Was contact made with him before he was in the end zone?
I don't know. I mean, it looked like I thought he was in.
It looked like he wasn't made contact with until right at the goal line. We're frozen here.
Yeah, we apologize, folks. Looks like our YouTube feed might have froze up a little bit here. Try to get that back live here once again. So exactly 1 minute to go, so we're going to have the 1 minute warning coming up now. So the Bobcats playing around a little bit down there, asking the ladies to throw the shirts to them. There we go. Now we're back on there. We apologize for that, folks. Thank you very much for sticking with us here tonight. Just never know with the internet sometimes in these arenas and different things. I was actually broadcasting a junior hockey game, and I literally timed it. It was like 5 seconds. It would go, then it would buffer again, 5 seconds. Eventually, I figured it out at the end of the first period. But hopefully, we'll have the good bandwidth here and be able to keep moving along in this game. First down and goal for the Bobcats. 1 minute to go here in the first half of play. Sanders doing what he does best, scrambling toward the end zone, but he is going to be stopped short. Making the initial contact on that one was Harold Love. And then Cole Smelly, Kenneth Ridley, all the way from the other side in to finish off Sanders on that one.
And Sanders ran into a sea of black and green there. Pretty much nowhere for him to go.
Are they going to give him a loss of a yard on that one? I didn't quite see where the officials are going to mark this one, but I think he possibly could have lost a yard. And Robert Sands, you can tell he's kind of been favoring that right side a lot in this game. I mean, he had some issues with the ankle and also the hamstring. Now they're going to place the ball back at the 1 yard line, so it'll be second down and goal from the 1. So no gain on that last play by Sanders. Twins here stacked to the near side. Sanders Gonna fake the handoff. He is gonna be hit all the way back to the 4-yard line. Brian Price and Harold Love leading the charge there for the Rough Riders.
And credit to the Riders defense there for sniffing it out, but you got to think that New England's got to do something different there because it was pretty much all over it from the very beginning.
I mean, once again, when you have a talent like Sanders, I mean, how do you not go to him? And the Rough Riders, they've been covering pretty well inside of their own 5-yard line when it's come to pass plays and things. So, I mean, New England's sticking with what they do best, but you have to imagine they're going to try to go to the air on this one, potentially catch the Rough Riders across the middle. 45 seconds remaining here in the second quarter of play. 21-6 in favor of the Rough Riders. See what kind of formation New England's going to come out in this time. Looks like they're going to overload the right side. Sanders will be in the backfield with Cyprian. Going to send a man in motion. Sanders fakes the handoff, was looking for like a jump pass there. It's going to fall incomplete, and it'll bring up 4th down for the Rough Riders. Bernard Davis was the intended receiver there for the Bobcats. So they tried that quick pass, but there was nobody home there. I mean, he literally tried to thread the needle on that one.
This next play is a massive momentum change for whoever ends up on top here. Obviously, New England goes down only 1 touchdown going into half. They got to feel pretty good about themselves. And on the flip side, the Riders get a stuff here and go up 2. They got to be feeling pretty darn good going into the half.
4th down upcoming here, trips to the near side. Sanders is back in at quarterback once again. Man goes in motion now for the Bobcats. It's a fumbled snap, ball still on the ground, and Sanders will be knocked down at the 10-yard line. Leading the charge there was Joe Phillips, but also causing havoc in the backfield was Larry Ford. So a huge stop for the Rough Riders, a drive that literally but those plays started from the 1-yard line, and the Rough Riders moved them all the way back to the 10-yard line.
True definition of bend but don't break defense. Gave them all they could handle, but ended up getting the stop in the end. Bad went worse there for the New England Bobcats. Bad snap. We were in the backfield early. Nowhere to go.
It was almost like it was another miscommunication because I don't think Sanders was quite ready for the snap. And then it was extremely low. So the Rough Riders have 37 seconds to try to drive down the field here to get more points on the board before the half.
And this is that other score that I told you Coach Zimmerman was probably salivating over.
Beavers is going to be the man in motion for the Rough Riders. Jarrett Brown back to pass. He's going to be hit, but he gets rid of the ball, and it is going to be an incomplete pass. And it'll bring up 2nd down. They are going to throw the flag on that one as they're going to say no receivers were in the vicinity.
Yeah, it was intentional grounding. There was no one.
So once again, I mean, if there would have been a receiver in the area, but there was nobody home on that one.
And that's going to back the Riders all the way up to their 1.
So you definitely don't want to give up a safety before the half here. So the Rough Riders are going to have to do this in the shadow of their own goalpost. And once again, if you didn't hear the official there, the Rough Riders will take another timeout to avoid the 10-second runoff. So the similar rules that you see in college football and in the NFL as well. Rough Riders hanging on to a 21-6 lead. Divine and Arlia will go out to the far side, which will leave Beavers here on the near side. Jarrett Brown going to literally take the snap in the end zone. Have to try to avoid a holding call in this area as well. Divine going in motion now for the Rough Riders. Here's the snap. Brown back to pass. Looking across the middle. Has a wide open Noel Divine. He has the 1st down up over midfield. And a great play there by the former WVU Mountaineers. Jarrett Brown finds Noel Divine across the middle. And the Rough Riders are going to take their final timeout. How was Divine so wide open across the middle on that one?
Well, if you saw there, Jarrett Brown, even though he was backed up to his own end zone, he had all day to throw. They dropped everyone back, and Divine just kind of squirted across the middle there. That's the kind of explosiveness he brings to you, play in and play out.
I mean, there was no defensive backs, no linebackers, nobody in the vicinity there.
Yeah, you got to think that was definitely a blown coverage of some sort, and definitely not what the New England Bobcats were looking to give up. Now they're in danger of giving up another score.
Devine with his 4th catch of the night for the Roughriders has yet to find the end zone here tonight, so you have to imagine he's going to want to do that. Of course, his teammates, another 2 wide receivers, Connor Arlia, Larry Beavers, both finding the end zone here tonight from Jarrett Brown.
Arlia and Beavers steal all the touchdowns. Devine doesn't get any.
I know, right?
Not a bad problem to have if you're a Rough Rider.
Might have to ask him about that at practice this week.
Tell him to share.
Now, I did mention about the running backs being a lot bigger in this league, but I'm kind of surprised that they don't give him a few opportunities to carry the ball.
I think that the way that the boxes are stacked, it's hard to run up the middle in this league. Arena football. And he's slapping the midfield.
First down here. Once again, Beavers is going to go in motion. A lot of people jumped early on that one. Brown's going to take the shot toward the end zone, and it's going to be in and out of the hands of Larry Beavers. So Brown, he was under a lot of pressure there, but obviously because the guys jumped, the conversation's going to be now is who jumped first. It is going to be offsides against the Bobcats.
And that stings even worse because it looked like Beavers could have came down with that ball, even though he was pinned in the corner.
That was Prescott once again. And New England is going to take their final timeout. The first half, man, we were just rolling there for a while, but near the end here, the team's going to use all of their timeouts. Roughriders leading 21-6 with 18 seconds remaining on the clock in this first half. See what Coach Mook is going to draw up on this one. I thought Beavers had that one, but unfortunately just not enough room in that end zone as he hit up against the wall.
It was right there in his hands, but he was pinned up against the corner there, and you're always kind of leery about running into the wall before you catch the ball. So tough break for the Riders, but it looks like we're going to get at least 1 to 2 more shots at the end zone. Unless we catch it and stay in bounds.
Yeah, so the Roughriders are going to have to hurry if they're not able to get out of bounds. I imagine they are going to take the shot toward the end zone.
Yeah, it looks like you give yourself probably 2 chances at the end zone, maybe 3. They're going to be pretty quick, I imagine.
Beavers is going to be lined up on the far side. Devine will be the man in motion with Connor Arlia here on the near side. Hard count there by Jarrett Brown. Here comes the pressure. Brown able to avoid it, but he throws it into the feet of Larry Beavers.
And that's a huge escape by Brown because if he doesn't get out of that, that's the end of the half.
They brought the linebacker really, really quick on that one. I believe it was Ruben Encarnacion was the linebacker. It just came barreling through that offensive line. It was also a miscommunication between our offensive line and Jarrett Brown as well.
Yeah, huge missed opportunity by New England there.
It seemed like everybody pulled to the right on that one. 21-6, 14 seconds, so only 4 seconds running off the clock on that one. 2nd down and 5 upcoming for the Roughriders. Beavers is the lone man here to the near side with Devine and Arlia over to the far side. Brown back to pass, almost stumbles, throws the pass. It's going to be tipped and intercepted by New England, the 2nd interception of the game. And that is going to be by number 12.
Oh, and there's 1 second left on the clock.
Grove. So Coach Mook is not happy right now. Threw his hat and also threw the wall pad.
A piece of equipment is on the field, ladies and gentlemen.
It really is. It's Coach Mook. Definitely not happy.
That must be the Arena League equivalent of a broken clipboard.
That could be. Or a stolen base for football.
And even worse than that, they left 1 second on the clock and got past midfield.
Now, that was either literally perfect timing by the Bobcat defender, or he got to Larry Beavers a little quick on that one.
In my opinion, from the first look at it, looked like he was there half second early, which forced the tip.
But nonetheless, it will be a 1st down for the Bobcats. So they'll have one opportunity to get it into the end zone here. Sanders back to pass. He is going to be hit, and the ball's going to come out late. And so it'll be no sack, but the Roughriders will take a 21-6 lead into halftime. So the Roughriders still some adjustments that they need to make.
And as Coach Mook said last home game, this team still has a long way to go. And just because we won the last game and the score was we'd won by 30 points, it didn't mean we played anywhere near a perfect game. We have a long way to go.
Now the Roughriders, they looked like they had some things going on the first drive, but then Keon Robinson comes up with the pick six to get the Bobcats on the board to make it 6-0 in favor of New England. But then it was the Roughriders that would answer with 21 straight points. A 17-yard pass from Jarrett Brown to Connor Arlia for his first touchdown pass of the night, Arlia's first receiving touchdown of the night. And then the Roughriders would strike again right as the second quarter started. A 3-yard pass from Jarrett Brown to Larry Beavers to make it 13-6. And then Anthony Prevost, he misses the extra point, but then he gets the Uno to make it 14-6 in favor of the Roughriders. And then Darrell Christian with a 1-yard run to make it 21-6 in favor of the Roughriders. So, Alec, if you're Coach Mook, what are you telling the guys in the locker room here in the second half?
Well, if you're Coach Mook, you got to be happy about your defense. I mean, we have been all over Giovanni Sanders. The guy, he's only had one good positive run. The rest, he was pretty much tackled in the backfield. You got to be upset about the two interceptions. The one wasn't Jarrett Brown's fault. The other one, he threw it right into double coverage. It happens. They returned it on us. You got to be worried a little bit about your offense. We sputtered a little bit on a couple possessions.
Yeah, they really did, but 2 touchdowns on the night, 2 interceptions for Jarrett Brown. So there's a few things that he's going to want to adjust at half before going into the second half. Once again, the Roughriders, they will get the ball to begin the second half of play. So that's one positive you have to look at. So if you're West Virginia, I think you need to come right out and you need to go for it on the first play.
Well, another thing I think you were talking about that Coach Mook might be a little bit concerned about is his quarterback-wide receiver chemistry. As we saw multiple times, Beavers either was upset with Brown or somebody else on the field with the throw that was to him, either behind him or not catchable. So I think he's got to be a little bit concerned about that. As we mentioned earlier, Jarrett Brown, a seasoned vet, and we're not worried about him at all, obviously, coming out in this half. I think he's going to be a little bit more polished.
Absolutely. So coming up next for you will be the second half kickoff. Your score at the half, the West Virginia Roughriders 21 and the New England Bobcats 6. You're listening to West Virginia Rough Rider football.
Is Cole Smelly, the hero of the Western Michigan game with the game-winning interception. Cole, can you just kind of talk us a little bit through that play? You guys had it going in there, and then you come up with the big interception. Welcome back into the broadcast. This week's player profile is Cole Smelly, the hero of the Western Michigan game with the game-winning interception. Cole, can you just kind of talk us a little bit through that play? You guys had it going in there, and then you come up with the big interception.
Yeah, the whole game was just nothing but a fight. We never gave up, and those last couple plays on defense, the play before I got the interception, they actually ran the same exact play, and they had the receiver come deep in the end zone, and the quarterback threw it just over his head. He was wide open. He was just out of reach. So next play, my head coach, Coach Mook, he told me, he said, Smelly, get a little bit deeper. It's coming to you. And it sure did. And I caught the ball and, tried to take it all the way. Unfortunately, I didn't. But, it was crazy. It's surreal.
Now, what's it like, being able to get on the road into a hostile environment like that, getting a game like that under your belt, prepare you for the rest of the season?
I think it just brought us closer together as a family. We haven't battled that type of adversity all year yet, and that just showed right there that we could come together as a team when the odds are against us. And everybody showed that we can come together as a family and we can depend on each other and trust each other, and we can pull through in the end.
Now, what's it like playing high school ball just across the river here in Bridgeport, Ohio? Now you're playing on the professional stage in West Bank Arena, just literally 5 minutes across the river from us.
Yeah, it still feels like home. It's great to be around the same fans that I've known since, I first started playing football in the third grade. And, my whole family's from around here, so, everybody can make it to my games, and everybody just misses watching me play football. And it's just great to be playing in front of them again and in front of my hometown fans. It's pretty fun. It's awesome.
Now, what did it take you to be able to prepare for the indoor game, coming from the, obviously playing outdoor football to come into the indoor game?
Yeah, it's a little different. I've had a little bit of experience playing linebacker. I used to play safety in high school, and I switched to linebacker in college a little bit. In this game, the linebackers, you only got a 5-yard box to work with. You can't get deeper than 5 yards. You can't get outside of the tackle box. So it's a little bit different, and I like to show my athleticism and make plays in a passing game. But, it's a little different when you have to stay kind of in a box. But just try to make the best of it and try to trust your teammates around you and just play football. At the end of the day, it's just football. So.
Now, last question for you, and we'll go ahead and get you out of here. Yeah. What can you say to the guys that have come from the OVAC, just to be able to pursue their dreams of professional football?
I'm sorry, can you ask that again?
Oh, yeah, you're good. So what is it? What can you tell the guys around the OVAC or even the kids that you're playing with to pursue their dreams of professional football?
Oh, yeah, just never give up. I mean, I haven't put on pads in, I'd say, about 4 or 5 years, excluding some semi-pro football. And, there were some times where I kind of doubted myself and doubted if I would ever put back on the pads. And then an opportunity came my way, and, I definitely stayed ready. I trained at Powell's Elite for a while and just stayed in football shape, and I had a couple CFL trials. And fortunately, the West Virginia Roughriders came to town, and that was my next opportunity, and I just took advantage of it. So I would just say never give up on your dreams. Do it as long as you can, because you're not young forever. So just play football as long as you can. Anything you want to do in life, just never give up and trust the process and just stick with it. It'll come through in the end.
All right, that was Cole Smelly. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
This week's West Virginia Roughriders player profile, Cole Smelly.
And welcome back. 21-6 your score in favor of the West Virginia Roughriders over the New England Bobcats. Alec, earlier this week got to catch up with Devon Dixon and also Joe Lofton. Now these were guys, they got to play ball since high school. They played high school together at Woodland Hills. Then they played college ball at Tiffin. And now they're getting to play professional football here with the West Virginia Roughriders. So you have to think, pretty exciting for those two guys.
It's got to be a very surreal experience, you know, to grow up with each other playing high school ball. Somehow you both go to the same college, have your career there, and then you both end up in West Virginia playing for the Roughriders in your first year in arena football. So it's got to be an exciting experience, and it's also got to be cool just to see your teammates grow with yourself, you know?
And it's really cool, too, I mean, being from the Pittsburgh area. So these are two guys, I actually got to watch them play right across the river in the Friends of Cole Classic before Woodland Hills came down here and played Steubenville. So to make the plot thicken even more, Darrell Christian was actually playing for Steubenville that year as well. So these guys, they kind of knew each other. They always say football, hockey, any sport, it's a small world out there. So definitely for these guys, it is a small world as they played each other in high school and then are now teammates here with the West Virginia Roughriders.
Yeah, I guess you got to witness them growing up firsthand as well from high school to now. It's got to be a big difference in their games.
It really is. I mean, you know, obviously a little bit more size, a little bit more maturity down there on both sides of the ball. So it's really cool to see that. And just another tidbit I wanted to throw in there for this broadcast as we are getting ready to begin the second half of play. This time, Noel Devine is going to go back deep for the Roughriders. As kicking off here for New England will be Mahomes Jean Charles.
Be surprised if Charles gives the Devine a chance here to run this thing back.
Kicked the last one out of bounds. And here's the kick. It is going to be a line drive kick, and it is going to roll out of bounds before it even gets to the 20-yard line. So Alec definitely called that one as it rolled out of bounds, as they're going to keep it out of the dangerous hands of Noel Devine.
Yeah, I don't want to give myself the credit for calling it. Not much of a surprise when you kick it away from possibly the fastest guy on the field.
Now, he returned one against the Berg defenders. As you might remember, the defenders tried to keep it away from him as well, but it went right to him on the line drive. So Noel Devine was able to return it all the way for the touchdown. 21-6 in favor of the Roughriders as we begin the third quarter of play. Special thanks to everybody tuning in here once again tonight. Ball will be on the 21-yard line as it rolled out of bounds. First down and 10 again. Beavers to the far side, two receivers here to the near side, Noel Devine and Connor Arlia. Drew Bolton in at quarterback. Bolton dropping back the pass. His pass is going to be overshot to Connor Arlia, and that'll bring up second down for the Roughriders. So Drew Bolton getting the opportunity here to begin this second half.
Little butterflies in Bolton's first play of the game.
He looked really good in practice as well this week. He was throwing some bullets down the field and was also threading the needle. A lot of those crossing plays across the middle. But don't forget, he's another guy that can really hurt you with his feet.
Yeah, and I think that's what Bolton's going to try to do. He's going to try to look middle, and if he doesn't see you open, he's going to go for the run.
Devine's going to be the man in motion on the left side with Connor Arlia. Bolton back to pass, looking across the middle, and he is going to overshoot Noel Devine. Pass falls incomplete, and that'll bring up third down for the Roughriders. 13:45 just underway here in the third quarter.
Chris, do we have any word on why Brown isn't in the game to start the second half?
I haven't heard anything. I don't even see him down there on the bench right now. So there he comes. Okay, that's why, because he snuck into the game on me there. So Jarrett Brown back in now for the Roughriders. Ball on the 21-yard line, third down and 10. Upcoming for West Virginia. Arlia, the far side receiver. Devine also in motion. Larry Beavers is the near side receiver. Brown dropping back the pass, looking across the middle. This time it's complete to Noel Devine. He shakes a tackle, and he will be knocked out of bounds inside the 5-yard line, but that'll be a first down for the Roughriders. The ball will be on the 4-yard line. First down and goal. Devine almost was able to split that one. Shook off the defender, but nonetheless, he was hit out of bounds.
As we mentioned earlier in the first half, Devine's definitely hungry for that touchdown right now.
He really is, and he's going to be lined up here on the near side in the trips formation. Arlia and Beavers, also the receivers. Devine goes in motion. Brown back to pass. Has some time. Pump fakes. Looks through the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Rough Riders!
And no surprise, the Rough Riders look to get Devine into the game, and they do within the first possession, get him his first score of the game.
So now Jarrett Brown has found 3 different Rough Riders receivers in the end zone, this time off the hands of Noel Devine. So 1 touchdown each for the wide receivers of the Rough Riders as Anthony Prevost is in to attempt the extra point out of the Drew Bolton hold. Here's the snap. The kick is up, and it'll split the uprights and good. 11:30 on the clock here, 28-6 in favor of the Rough Riders. So head coach Mook Zimmerman tries to switch things up a little bit, gives Bolton a couple opportunities, and then Jarrett Brown able to come back in and find Noel Devine in the corner of the end zone. But like you mentioned, sometimes you're going to see the multiple quarterbacks, and you're going to see some different things and changes that you have to make. And that was the one adjustment that head coach Mook Zimmerman was looking to make for the second half.
Well, I think he looked to maybe throw the other team off or give them a different look with Bolton in the game. But ultimately, I think that we wanted Brown back in the game to try to dot the I there on that possession. It'd be interesting to see if Bolton gets any more action at quarterback in this game, or if that was just a slight wrinkle we were looking to throw at him.
No, you're definitely going to see him a lot more in this game. They have some different packages that they were working on in practice this week specifically for him. So you're definitely going to see him in tonight's game a little bit more. Anthony Prevost set to kick off once again for the Rough Riders. I was going to say, I didn't think they had enough guys on the field there, as Cam Dixon going to come into the game as well. One of those Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania natives. Clarion University product. And here comes the kick from Prevost. It's going to be an extremely high one. And that was not even going to come down from the ceiling. So Anthony not too happy with himself down there.
Gives the fans a good laugh, though. The ball never fell back down.
Yeah, I mean, the guy from the Bobcats was just sitting there waiting for it. I believe it was Encarnacion. Was just waiting for it to drop, and it never did.
Be a souvenir for the janitor tonight.
Yeah, really. Or anybody brave enough to go up on the catwalk and try to find that one. Been up there a couple times. A little bit higher than you think. See what type of pressure the Rough Riders are going to bring on this one. Joe Phillips, Harold Love, and Larry Ford, they have been in the face of Sanders almost all night.
Sanders really going to look to get some momentum on this possession.
Man goes in motion for the Bobcats. Sanders, a quick pass. It is going to be complete to Davis on this one. And Davis will get it up over the 20-yard line, and that'll be good enough for the New England first down.
And you got to reckon that New England's going to go for a lot of quick strikes there with the pressure that the Rough Riders defensive line has been able to get on Sanders.
That's like I just said. I mean, Love and Phillips and even Ford, they were right in the face of Sanders. He had to get rid of it very quickly. Sanders this time, though, is going to be hit, and he is going to be sacked back over midfield by Harold Love.
Whenever number 90, Harold Love, gets a hold of you, you're probably not coming free.
This is a guy that didn't even start for us in the first game, actually came in the second game against Cape Fear.
I think that really goes to show you the strength and numbers that the Rough Riders provide on both sides of the ball. I mean, one man goes out, another man comes in, and we don't lose much.
I'll tell you what, he was somebody else, too, that the coaches were experimenting a little at center as well, just to have a little bit of a backup and safety net there. Second down and long upcoming now for the Bobcats. Pass is going to be complete over the far side to Davis. He is going to be brought down immediately by Kenneth Ridley. Also assisted on that tackle is Cole Smelly. We'll bring up third down for the Bobcats inside the 20-yard line. So Davis has been the favorite target of Sanders here in this second half on this first drive. 9:33 and counting, 28-6 in favor of the Rough Riders.
Here's one where you really got to watch Sanders trying to do damage with his legs, escaping the pocket.
Man goes in motion. That's going to be Brandon. Another quick pass over to Davis. and he was almost knocked into the crowd there by Kenneth Ridley. But he will have the Bobcats first down. It'll be first down and goal from about the 8-yard line.
Kenneth Ridley did not look happy after the play. I don't know what he was mad about.
Another one of those Wiviac guys, the University of Charleston, after transferring over from Morgan State. First down and goal for the Bobcats. Brandon's going to go in motion for New England. Sanders going to hand it off to Cyprian, and he is going to be hit immediately. Making the initial hit on that one was Harold Love, but then Cole Smelly and Brian Price coming in to finish him off.
Just absolutely nowhere to go for the big bruiser, Cyprian.
They're actually going to give him a yard on that one. Bring up second down and goal.
A very hard-earned yard.
That was a very, yeah, like you mentioned. They had a lot of success in their running game in their first game. But last week, they really relied on Sanders.
And then this has been an area of the field where New England has not found any success. So it'll be interesting to see if they can finally get in the end zone here from a red zone possession.
Brandon goes in motion for the Bobcats. Sanders back to pass, scrambles out to his left, pressure coming, and he is going to be smashed inside the 5-yard line. Brian Price, Harold Love in on that stop. Ellis Langster came flying out of nowhere and just missed Sanders on that. For third down and goal upcoming from the 4-yard line. Davis is the far side receiver. Garcia and Brandon here on the near side for the Bobcats. Sanders is going to hand the ball off, but Larry Ford is going to be right there to greet Xander Perry. And that'll bring up fourth down and goal now for the Bobcats.
The Bobcats' woes inside the 10 continue. It'll be interesting to see if they can draw something up here that's a little bit less predictable for the Roughriders defense.
Delayed handoff, but Perry was just unable to get moving once he got the ball as he was greeted in the backfield there by Larry Ford. Ford got a great jump on that one again. Sanders is going to launch one toward the end zone. The pass is going to be complete, but he is going to be stopped just shy of the goal line. Joe Phillips had the pressure on Sanders. And Phillips was the big reason why that ball was not in the end zone, as well as the defensive backs for the Rough Riders.
And what a remarkable pitch and catch there by Sanders to even get that thing off, and then for the receiver to catch it. It looked like it was going to be a loss of down there, or a loss of yardage rather.
The defensive ends had such a quick jump on that, meaning Phillips and Ford both. So Sanders tried to come to his right and find some room, and Phillips was right in his face, and then there was a blanket over the receiver, but somehow Garcia still made that catch.
Jarrett Brown taking the snap from the black of the end zone for the second time today.
Trips to the far side, no receivers here to the near side. Somebody jumped early on that one, and it's going to be a quick pass out to Noel Devine. Pass is complete. But we have the flag on the play. We're going to see who jumped first, whether it was New England or the Rough Riders. 6:23 remaining here in the third quarter of play, 28-6 in favor of West Virginia. So it will be offsides against the Bobcats. Should move the ball up to about the 6-yard line. The Bobcats are going to take a timeout here to try to recollect themselves.
Another huge penalty by the Bobcats, this time getting the Rough Riders out of their own end zone. The Bobcats haven't been able to get out of their own way on certain possessions in key moments of this game.
Big thing last week, too, was penalties against West Michigan. West Michigan just kind of bit themselves, and the Rough Riders were able to capitalize on the way to that victory last week. First down and 5. We'll call it the ball on the 6-yard line. Arlia, the far side receiver. Noel Devine lined up here to the near side. Larry Beavers will be the man in motion for the Rough Riders. Brown with the snap, dropping back, pump fakes. He's going to find Arlia on the far side, and he is going to be knocked down just before the sticks, as the stick literally falls apart down there on the field.
Where are they going to mark this at, Chris? About a yard short?
That's what I was looking. Yeah, it's going to be right on the 10. And they were on the 1, so We're going to call it 2nd and inches.
It was truly tough to tell where Arlia was actually downed at when he hit the wall.
And there goes the one stick. Jarrett Brown in under center, dropping back the pass on this 2nd down play. Pass is complete to Beavers, and he is going to be slammed into the boards over to the 17-yard line.
And that's the trickiness of Beavers. Not only does he burn you down the field, but he gets the quick slants out on you, too, to get the first down. Slammed hard into the pads there.
We're having a slight technical difficulty with the camera, so we will get you right back to the action as soon as we were able to fix that. We do apologize. Few technical difficulties here tonight. It's something to be expected, though. Every now and again it's going to happen. It is technology. So 1st down and 10 for the Roughriders. Ball's going to be on the 16-yard line. Beavers is going to be the man in motion for West Virginia. Devine and Arlia lined up on the far side. Beavers talking with his coach on this one to try to figure out which motion that he wanted him to go in. It's going to be a pitch over to Cameron Dixon up over the 20-yard line, and he has a powerful run to about the 23. And that'll bring up a 2nd down.
And a rare run play by the Roughriders, especially to the outside. Like you said, normally the bigger stature of the running backs kind of go up the middle, but a rare sweep.
And Cam Dixon, he's another guy. He can play both. He can play the running back position, and he can play the linebacker position. Arlia and Devine to the far side. One receiver to the near side. That's Beavers. Pass is going to be incomplete across the middle as Noel Devine was thrown behind him. And that'll bring up 4th down for the Rough Riders.
Devine was open, just thrown a bit behind him again.
And on the coverage on that one was Ruben Encarnacion and also Scott DaCosta. And on the coverage on Devine. 4th down and 3. Upcoming for the Rough Riders. Cam Dixon in at running back.
Now, Chris, if you were the coach here, if you were in the eyes of Mook Zimmerman, what would you go for here?
You got to go with the pass on this one. You got to try to find the guys, maybe
Are
a
you going
slant route.
short, or maybe you lull someone to sleep and go deep here?
Nah, with the coverage that they have right now, I think you got to go short. Here's Beavers in motion. Brown dropping back the pass, making a liar out of it as they go long, and the pass will fall incomplete for Larry Beavers. Falls incomplete, so it'll be a turnover on downs for the Rough Riders with 2:27 to go in the 3rd quarter of play. DaCosta coming up was struggling a little at the end of that play, but it looks like he's going to be able to get off the field on his own power, as he was in on the double coverage on Beavers.
Definitely risky to go for that deep of a pass on 4th and 3, but I don't mind the play calling. The Riders are always aggressive, and Mook's that kind of guy. He's going to go for the kill shot when he sees fit.
And that was like you mentioned. He made a liar out of me on that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, we were right there. He had his hands on it. It would have been a tough grab, but kudos to the throw for Jarrett Brown because he put it right in the basket.
Twins to the far side, one receiver here to the near side for the Rough Riders, for the Bobcats rather. The Rough Riders going to come up close here on defense as Langster trying to meet his guy. They're going to take a shot toward the end zone, and it's going to be well over the head of his intended receiver, Davis. Bring up 2nd down and 10. Ball will be on the Rough Riders' 22-yard line.
Sanders really with nowhere to throw there.
They tried that quick route. Devon Dixon in on the coverage there for the Rough Riders.
Still the Bobcats looking to get something going offensively. Still haven't scored on the defense of the West Virginia Rough Riders.
Twins here to the near side. One receiver over to the far side. Cyprian back in there at running back for the Bobcats. Garcia's going to go in motion. He's open across the middle, but Brian Price coming up huge with the big knockdown on that one. Will bring up third down for the Bobcats. Garcia had beat Langster off the line, but Brian Price able to get that big paw up there and knock that one over.
And Brian Price might have had his eyes on the end zone there because he had momentum going forward.
He already has 2 pick sixes this season, both of those coming at home as well.
Yeah, he might have actually already had his eyes on the end zone before he made the clean interception because he might have been gone there.
Third down and 10 now upcoming for the Roughriders. Ball will be on the 22-yard line. Twins here to the near side, one receiver to the far side. Garcia going to go in motion for the Bobcats, and we're going to have a flag on the play. It looked like the guilty party on that one was Chris Washington. And it actually is the guilty party. I was right, it's going to be Washington. And so that's going to move the ball back over midfield to the 23-yard line. We'll bring up third down and long for the Bobcats. 23 seconds and counting here in the third quarter of play, 28-6 in favor of the Roughriders.
And again, another costly penalty by the Bobcats that they can really ill afford at this moment in the game.
Twins to the near side, one receiver to the far side. That's going to be Davis. He's been dangerous tonight. He had a few catches to begin this third quarter of play. Sanders back to pass. There he is. The pass is complete to Davis. He's going to run over a few defenders, but he will be spun down by Kenneth Ridley inside the 5-yard line. And that's going to wrap up the third quarter of play. Your score, the Roughriders 28 and the Bobcats 6. But, Alec, the Bobcats have the ball on the 1-yard line. Will be threatening to score on this one.
Yeah, I don't think the Bobcats have mailed it in yet. They're going to go all the way till the end of this game. And if they get a score here, it gets really interesting. The Riders definitely aren't out of the water yet here.
Now, you look at some of the games that they had before, and they've put up a lot of points. They put up the 60. They also put up the 56 as well. So you have to imagine that they haven't been in this situation where they've been down, and the only touchdown that they do have is a defensive touchdown.
Right, and now they're in the area where they've struggled the absolute most in this game, which is inside the 10. And the Roughriders' defensive line has been all over them every time. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get a snap off and actually get a play going for some positive yardage.
Don't forget, we'll be right back here at West Banco Arena next Saturday, May the 4th. The West Virginia Roughriders and the Berg Defenders, they'll be playing each other on the field, but they will also be teaming up to defeat childhood cancer. So don't forget, for every point that the Roughriders score, they will donate $10 to Mascots for a Cure battling childhood cancer, and then $2 for every ticket sold will be donated as well. Tickets start at just $12. If you can't make the game, make sure you tune in here on YouTube, and then you can also follow the Roughriders on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook all season long. First down and goal for New England. The ball will be on the 1-yard line. We're going to have a different quarterback in there. It's going to be Davis, who's going to hand the ball off to Cyprian, and he is going to be hit by Harold Love. And we're going to have a flag on the play as well, as Davis getting his first snaps in the quarterback position. Like I said, the UMass product, he can play both quarterback and wide receiver. So they're going to repeat first down, for the first down rather, as there was no daylight for the linebackers. Sanders going to check back in now for the Bobcats. Davis and Garcia will be the far side receivers. Now he'll be joined by Brandon. Cyprian is the running back for the Bobcats. First down and goal. Ball literally on the 1-inch line. Here's the handoff up the middle to Cyprian. He is going to be hit by Brian Price. Harold Love, Cole Smelly, and Kenneth Ridley all in on that stop for the Roughriders. So West Virginia able to push New England back a little bit on that one.
The Roughriders are all over the trenches.
And that's where the game can be won, is in the trenches. And sure enough, the Roughriders right now are winning that battle.
Well, especially with the small field in Arena League. I mean, when you get inside the 5-yard line, there's nowhere to go.
Second and goal, it's going to be a long 2 for the Bobcats. Trips to the far side. Sanders going to go for the quick pass to Brandon, who's going to avoid a couple tacklers. The ball is on the ground and is going to be picked up by Garcia, who will go into the end zone for the New England touchdown.
New England finally found success inside the 5-10 yard line, so good for them.
So that is going to come with 13:33 on the clock. We have an injured Rough Rider down on the field.
Who's down?
Can't quite catch the number as of right now. So to recap that one, Sanders completed the pass to Brandon. It was fumbled before he got into the end zone and then was picked up by Garcia.
And credit to Brandon there, because that could have been a loss of yardage there. He kind of avoided two guys and fell into the end zone. Recovered by New England.
So I believe it was Brian Price was the injured Rough Rider on the play. 28-12. 13:37 remaining on the clock here in the fourth quarter.
Very important conversion here coming up for the New England Bobcats.
And they're going to go for the 2 points to try to make this a 2-touchdown game. Twins to the far side, one receiver here to the near side. Brandon going in motion for the Bobcats. Sanders back to pass. There's Joe Phillips right in his face, and he's going to launch one toward the end zone, and the pass is going to be complete to Garcia. The 2-point conversion is good. So your score is 28-14 in favor of the Rough Riders after that 2-point conversion. So Garcia, the one that picks up the fumble, also gets the 2-point conversion, and the Bobcats only find this as a 2-possession game.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, they're far from out of the water, the Rough Riders. They're going to have to play a really smart quarter of football if they want to come away with the win.
Don't forget, tonight's game is brought to you by Anthony Scarino, Belmont Savings Bank, Wheeling Island Racetrack and Casino, Vagabond Kitchen, West Banco, ICR Equipment Rental and Supplies, the National Guard, Piles Elite, Pickles, Bedway Development, Bree Insurance Centers, and Mansueto Roofing. Thank you very much for being a part of West Virginia Rough Riders football. Noel Devine is going to be the deep man for the Rough Riders. Gene Charles kicking off here for the Bobcats. See what they do on this one. They've been trying to avoid Devine the whole night, but this time they're going to try for the kick. Devine will get it back in the end zone. Gets a burst of speed at the 10-yard line. To the 15, he's at 20. He's at the 25. 10-5, touchdown, Rough Riders! So how about that for an answer from the West Virginia Rough Riders? Noel Devine, his second kick return touchdown of the season, and it is now a 20-point lead for the Rough Riders.
And
My goodness.
It's no coincidence why teams don't kick to number 7.
What speed on that one. By Noel Devine.
And you heard the crowd light up as soon as Devine kicked on the burners because they knew he was gone.
Anthony Prevost now in to attempt the extra point out of the Drew Bolton hold. Here's the snap. The kick is up, and Prevost will knock it through the uprights and good. 12-16 remaining here in this game. 35-14 in favor of the Rough Riders. Alec, you have to imagine that is the perfect answer. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. You go right off of the kickoff, and then you return it for the touchdown to answer the New England touchdown.
And talk about deflating for the New England team. I mean, they just had their best drive of the game, the only offensive scoring touchdown of the game for them. Grinded it out, grinded for the 2-point conversion, did everything right. They go for the Uno on the other side, and it's a major backfire.
The Rough Riders have been able to answer both touchdowns tonight by New England. Jarrett Brown, yeah, he threw the interception, but then he comes right back on the next offensive play, throws the touchdown. On this one, they give up another one. Noel Devine answers right back. So New England has had no chance tonight to be able to get back and to be able to have any sort of momentum in this game.
Well, the Bobcats have had to, A, work super hard for their scores, and B, they got lucky on the one interception, the bad throw by Brown. But other than that, the Riders have not only made few mistakes, but they bounced back from the ones they have made.
And that's just one of the key turning points, especially in any type of football, whether it's college football, pro football, whatever it is. Momentum can be a huge key. And like I said, there has just been no breathing room tonight for the New England Bobcats, as Anthony Prevost is going to kick this one off, and it will be returned up to the 10-yard line. And Arlia making the initial stop, and then Ridley, I apologize for that. Kenneth Ridley making the other stop, as we're going to have some extracurricular activities after this one, as I'm pretty sure those players weren't exchanging grandmother's favorite recipe on that one.
And Connor Arlia, not usually known for his tackling, gets the snag there, the shoestring snag.
He did play some special teams when he was at Kent State and at WVU as well. When I was at Oklahoma State working down there, he actually got to see his first collegiate catch against the Cowboys. So it was pretty cool to see. So we're going to have the personal foul unnecessary roughness call coming up after that kick return. So that's going to put the Bobcats back to the 7-yard line. And that's where they're going to have to begin this drive. The offense had a lot of momentum going.
Yeah, a very daunting task for this New England offense now after just getting off the field from a score, give up the kick return, now you're right back on. Interesting to see how they bounce back. They need a quick strike in the worst kind of way.
Man goes in motion. That's going to be Brandon once again. He's going to get the pass at the 20-yard line, and he will have the Bobcats first down. We brought down on the play by Cole Smelly and Ellis Langster, but it'll be a first down for the Bobcats. They're going to actually mark him down at the 21-yard line. Once again, that middle has just been haunting for the Roughriders defense. Sanders back to pass. It's kind of a wobbly throw, and it is going to be intercepted. Cameron Dixon. Check that. That's going to be Devon Dixon. I apologize.
Flag on the field.
Yeah, it's going to be an offensive penalty. We have both Devon Dixon and Cam Dixon back there, so I apologize. Devon Dixon coming up with that interception. The Roughriders' second interception of the night. So the ball slipped out of the hands of Sanders on that one.
Yeah, he'd like to have that one back, no doubt.
And that's two interceptions that we've seen. The one from Sanders and the one from Brown. The ball slipped out of both of their hands on the interception, so both quarterbacks just having a little bit of trouble gripping that football here tonight.
Especially disappointing for Giovanni, as he had a great series last drive. Give it right back to the Riders now, and I don't think the Roughriders are going to nail this thing out. I think they're going to try to keep adding to the fire.
Well, don't forget,
You
though,
can't kneel.
in arena football, you can't.
The equivalence of kneeling, running it up the middle in arena, I guess.
Beavers going to go in motion for the Roughriders. Brown back to pass. Pressure coming. His pass is complete across the middle to Connor Arlia. Almost a similar play that the Bobcats ran earlier. Pass is caught for the West Virginia first down at their own 20-yard line. Now we're having some words between Jarrett Brown and the assistant coach for New England. Nonetheless, it's first down for the Roughriders. We'll see what so New England is going to take their second timeout of the quarter. With 10:13 remaining here in the game, 35-14 in favor of the Roughriders. So frustration starting to set in a little bit for New England right now, because you had the one play, the players were kind of jawing at the end, and then you had the unnecessary roughness call. Then you have the coach and Jarrett Brown getting into it. So a good timeout here if you're New England to try to regain your composure.
Unfortunately for New England, this thing has kind of snowballed out of control in the last few plays. It's going to be interesting to see if they can dig themselves out of it. And I think the Roughriders are going to be in absolutely no hurry on this possession. Try to bleed this clock.
I definitely agree with you. Trips here to the near side. Larry Beavers, Joe Lofton, Connor Arlia, the wide receivers for the Roughriders. Cam Dixon in a running back. Here's the snap. The pass is going to be complete to Arlia on the screen, but he had no blockers whatsoever in front of him. It'll go for a loss on the play, back to the 19.
Arlia makes the catch with about 3 defenders staring him right in the face. Nowhere to go.
That was another play that they were really practicing. They were trying to get that screen with the blockers in front of them in practice earlier this week. Didn't work on that one, as they'll bring up 2nd down and 11 for the Roughriders on their own 19-yard line. Beavers will be the far side receiver. Lofton and Devine here on the near side. Beavers goes in motion with Brown in under center. Dropping back to pass. Looking. Pressure coming. Tucks it. Finds an open man in Beavers, but it is going to go in and out of his hands. They're going to say it's a complete pass, so a great job by Larry Beavers to be able to regain possession of the ball. And that'll be a 1st down for the Roughriders on the Bobcats' 18-yard line.
Did that ball bounce out of his hands off the wall and back into his hands?
No, I think he caught it before it even hit the wall.
He bobbled it, and he was right by the wall. It was hard to see from where we're at. Would have been a very rare drop from Beavers.
He's had a little bit of a tough time handling the ball tonight, but he's been able to regain possession, and he does on that one. Lofton and Devine, the far side receivers. Beavers, the near side receiver. Brown sends Devine in motion. Dropping back to pass. Has some blockers. Evades one tackler, and he launches one toward the end zone, but it'll be incomplete for Larry Beavers. And that'll bring up 2nd down for the Roughriders. Brown, I believe, thought that Beavers was going to be over in that corner. So a broken play, but Brown able to evade the tacklers and not take the sack.
It looked like vintage Jared Brown there. Escaping the pressure, and Beavers was right there for the pass. It looks like another slight miscommunication.
7:50 remaining here in the game. 35-14 in favor of the Roughriders. Lofton, the far side receiver, with Noel Devine. Larry Beavers will be the man in motion for the Roughriders. Brown back in the shotgun, looking, finds Dixon on the far side, but it is going to be knocked down by Encarnacion. And that'll bring up 3rd down. So good choice trying to hit the running back out of the backfield. But Encarnacion just read that the entire way.
Credit Encarnacion with the one-handed swat. It's a touchdown saver.
It really was. I mean, smart play by him to not go for the interception, but just be able to knock it down. Third down upcoming for the Roughriders. Arlia and Lofton, the far side receivers. Noel Devine will be back there in the running back position. Beavers going to go in motion to the left side. Here's the snap. Brown back to pass. Had Beavers open. Little bit of hand fighting. And we're not going to get a flag on that, as Beavers was battling in the corner with one of the Bobcats defenders.
I think Beavers, as well as the crowd, wanted a pass interference call there. A lot of contact.
Darshawn Grove, the safety, was on the coverage of Beavers. Just another call where you could have said that he was there way too early. 4th down and 10 now for the Roughriders. Ball on the 18-yard line. And instead of electing to go with Anthony Prevost, they're actually going to take a timeout and talk this one over. With all 5 showing on the clock, 5:55 remaining, 35-14 in favor of the Roughriders. Tonight's game is also being sponsored by Fernario Sports, Mascots for a Cure, Joe Lovell Photography, On the Road Media, Studio MC, Rovi Studios, Tamara's Camera, Muxie Distributing, World Gym, and the Ohio Valley Community Federal Credit Union. Thank you very much for being a part of Roughriders football. Have to see what Coach Mook is going to draw up on this play.
Well, it looks like they're going to bring the offense back out onto the field and take Prevost off the field.
Have a long timeout, a long delay here with the Roughriders leading 35-14. 5:55 to go. Don't forget the next week, the Roughriders will be back home. Take on the Berg Defenders.
Round 2.
Round 2. And then they'll actually be in New England the following week. Take on these very same Bobcats. Be a May 11th kickoff. Now the Roughriders are going to have to burn another timeout as they didn't have the correct personnel on the field. Gavin Dixon, I mean, he actually jumped onto the field to play a wide receiver. I mean, it's not very often you get to see a corner jump in to play wide receiver.
Well, Bolton jumped onto the field there after that timeout as well, so I didn't know if they were going to bring him in and do something tricky or what we were trying to do.
Well, like I said, he can also play wide receiver as well.
You always run the option of doing something interesting with Bolton, even if you start him at wide receiver. You could do a wide receiver pass. You give a wide range of options when you got like Bolton.
Told me, too, he also played some defensive back as well.
Doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't surprise me either. In arena ball, you have to be able to play a lot of different positions, and you for sure see that.
I'm just disappointed we haven't seen a Bolton drop kick tonight.
Yeah, I would like to see one of those. One of the rules that I had to learn before coming into arena football. Joe Lofton, Noel Devine will be the far side receivers. Cam Dixon in at running back. Larry Beavers will be the motion man on this 4th down and 10 from the Bobcats 18. Here's the snap. Brown back to pass. Pressure coming. Thought he found the guy, and it was Joe Lofton, but it's going to be incomplete, and it'll be a turnover on downs for the Roughriders, and the Bobcats will get the ball back on their own 18-yard line.
And you got to think after 2 timeouts, that's not what the Roughriders had drawn up.
The pressure that the Bobcats have been able to get on these last few drives, if they were able to get this pressure earlier in the game, you could have seen a totally different score right now.
Yeah, they've kept Brown fairly uncomfortable back there. He's made a few plays, he's evaded some defenders, but they've been in the backfield nearly every time he drops back, especially in this half.
5:40 on a running clock, 35-14 in favor of the Roughriders. Special thanks once again to everybody tuning in on YouTube. Hope you're enjoying tonight's broadcast. First down and 10 upcoming for the Bobcats. Brandon is going to be the man in motion for New England. Sanders back to pass, and he is going to tuck the ball and run up over midfield to the 20-yard line. Larry Ford almost got his big paw in to knock that down, but Sanders tucked the ball for a very positive gain and will flip the field now up to the other 18-yard line. First down for the Bobcats. Man goes in motion. That's going to be Brandon once again for New England. Sanders back to pass. Pass is going to be complete on the far side. Will be just shy of the marker. And we'll bring up second down for the Bobcats inside the 10-yard line.
And New England gaining traction fast. They're looking to score right now.
Davis is the near side receiver. Brandon, you have to imagine, is going to be the motion man once again. Could be a very similar play to what they just ran, but no. Make me a liar once again as Perry is going to get the carry. Brought down on the play by Harold Love. See where they marked this one.
Right there at the sticks.
And they're going to give him a third down. So third down and inches for the Bobcats. Brandon will be the motion man. Here's the snap. Sanders is going to roll over to his left. Had a lot of field in front of him. Brian Price with the one-handed interception. And could it be? It is 3 home games in a row. Roughriders. Wow. How about that? Brian Price, all 3 home games, now has a pick 6.
And we talked about Price dropping the pick earlier that he might have possibly taken to the house, and he makes up for it right there. Straight to the house.
Price had his right arm was all tied up by the wide receiver. He brought the other arm out and got that interception and returned it. My goodness. What an athlete, Brian Price. Anthony Prevost now in to attempt the extra point out of the Drew Bolton hold. Prevost's kick is going to go wide to the right. Another low snap on that one. But a great job there by Drew Bolton to be able to at least set it up to give Prevost the attempt. 2:35 to go in this one, 41-14 in favor of the Roughriders. You have to imagine, Alec, I mean, just a few little things, few little tweaks that the Roughriders have to make. But you mentioned the bend and not break, and that's definitely what this team is doing.
Absolutely. I mean, they've only given up 1 score on defense all game long, and the special teams made up for it right afterwards. So you got to think that Coach Zimmerman's going to be a lot happier after this game than he was after the last game, just because of the adjustments that they made and executed on.
Now, what do you think, though? I mean, you have this game, then Pittsburgh comes in next week, but then you go right back to New England again. Do you like playing opponents that close together, or would you rather spread it out a little bit?
Well, I think it's unique because you don't see people playing each other as close in a lot of other sports. I think New England, we're really not trying to hide anything from them. We came straight after them on defense, and we did a couple different things on offense. I mean, New England seemed a lot more one-dimensional to me. So I feel like, if anything, this was their game to beat West Virginia Roughriders versus the next game.
Anthony Prevost kicks that one into the ceiling. This time it did fall. I mean, he was kind of looking up there like, man, I don't know if this one's going to come down or not.
I actually thought he might hit the other one down, and they might both fall at the same time.
That would be pretty neat to see.
Which one do we play?
So it'll be 1st down and 10 for the Bobcats from their own 15-yard line. Got a few different names checking into the game now. They're actually going to have Keon Robinson at wide receiver. Like I said, it's not something that we're surprised to see. Phenomenal athlete out of Shepherd University. We're having a problem with the board there where the Bobcats come out of the box there. So 1st down and 10, ball will be on the 20-yard line, Clock strikes right at 2 minutes here in this game. Sanders back to pass. Pass going to be complete to Davis, and he is going to be ran into the boards by Kenneth Ridley. Davis is just a phenomenal athlete. Like I said, quarterback for most of his career.
He's been all over the field.
Oh, he really has. Second down upcoming now for the Bobcats. Ball will be on the 4-yard line. Robinson going to go in motion for the Bobcats. Sanders back to pass, going to tuck it and run, well, like he does so well, and he will be shoved into the boards at the 10-yard line by Ellis Langster.
And that's exactly what Sanders has looked to do all day. He's got a couple successful ones in this quarter and this half alone.
And in arena football, too, you have to have a quarterback that's going to be able to scramble at some point.
Well, you see how effective it's been for Jarrett Brown to scramble away from the pressure various times tonight where he could have taken huge losses.
And the clock's going to strike the 1-minute warning here in the 4th quarter, 41-14 in favor of the Roughriders. Don't forget, next week's kickoff will be at 7 o'clock as the Roughriders and the Berg Defenders team up to defeat childhood cancer. $10 for every point scored. will be donated to Mascots for a Cure, as well as $2 for every ticket sold. See what kind of play the Bobcats are going to go for on this one. Twins to the far side, one receiver here to the near side. Going to send Robinson in motion for the Bobcats. Here's the handoff to Cyprian. He has a lot of room around the right side. He's going to be tripped up by Robert Sands. But they're going to say he's going to be stopped short. Literally on about that 1 inch line once again.
That's the most room Cyprian's had to run all day.
Was definitely not expecting him. It fooled me. So second down and goal rather, from the 1 yard line for the Bobcats. Man goes in motion now for New England. Here's the keeper by Sanders. He's going to rattle his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Bobcats. Sanders gets his first rushing touchdown of the game from 1 yard out. That one coming at 50 seconds. It is now 41-20.
And if you know anything about Coach Mook, he's not going to be happy about that last touchdown. Even with the game secured in the last minute, he wanted that last stop.
Oh, he really did. Two-point conversion try now for New England. Going to send a man in motion. Sanders is going to fake the handoff, look toward the end zone, and is going to be caught for the two-point conversion. So the Bobcats are 2 for 3 on two-point conversions tonight. And you know for a fact that they are not going to kick it to Noel Devine on this one.
Absolutely not.
They're going to go for a squib kick. See if they'll go with a different kicker or if they'll stick with Gene Charles. .50 seconds to go in this game, 41-22 in favor of the Roughriders over the Bobcats. Anthony Prevost will be back deep for West Virginia. Roughriders going to have the hands team out there. There's the onside kick try. It's going to be too high of a bounce. Hits off of the face of Robert Sands. And Kenneth Ridley will recover it on that Rough Rider logo. And the Rough Riders will have 48 seconds to end this game. But like you mentioned, Alec, they're not going to be able to kneel it necessarily. You have to have positive yardage to keep the clock going.
Right, I guess the Arena League equivalents would be trying to run it up the middle. But you also do have to be positive, too, which isn't always easy to get, as we've seen from this game. A lot of negative rushing plays.
I'll tell you what, that was a pretty good kick. Unfortunately, it just got that one extra hop.
Yeah, and it bounced off of the guy from the Rough Riders. I mean, they almost had a chance at it.
Yeah, it was a very, very impressive kick. But like I said, I bet he just wouldn't have wanted that last final bounce.
Exactly.
Jarrett Brown's going to hand it off up the middle to Cam Dixon.
And that's what we were worried about. A negative play stops the clock.
And he's going to be stopped all the way back at the 22-yard line. So that stops the clock, 41-22 in favor of the Rough Riders. Second down and 11. Upcoming for West Virginia. You have to imagine New England's going to bring as much pressure as they can.
Well, at this point in the game, you have really no other choice. You're not going to sit back and let Jared Brown eat you alive.
Trips here to the near side. Beavers, Devine, and Lofton for the Rough Riders. Here's the handoff this time, and it will go for positive yardage as Cam Dixon is going to get up to midfield, and that'll bring up third down for the Rough Riders. They're not going to have to run a final play if they don't want to. See what head coach Mook Zimmerman decides to do. And they're going to call it a night. And the Rough Riders are going to improve to 5-0 on the season. Another impressive win here tonight at West Banco Arena. 41-22 over the New England Bobcats. And the Bobcats will fall to 2-1 on the season. But you have to, like I said, the Bobcats, they're going to be marking May 11th on their schedule.
Tons of positives that the Bobcats can take from this game. They're only a few huge mistakes away from this being much closer than it actually was.
Yeah, it really was just a phenomenal game. And the Rough Riders, I mean, there's still a few adjustments that can be made. But the defense especially, this is a team we thought, okay, you know, maybe we're just going to keep lighting up the scoreboard and have to outscore teams. But the Rough Riders defense has been really, really stout in these past few games.
After the first couple games, you would have thought that the Rough Riders belonged in the Big 12 with the offensive fireworks that they were giving. But the defense has actually proven to be maybe the strongest part of the team the last couple games, with the big stop against the Ironmen last weekend and then coming up huge all game long today.
And it kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit, but you go all the way back to the Cape Fear game as well, where they only gave up the 15 points in that game to a team that's been putting up almost 60 points a game. They had almost 300 coming into this weekend, and they'll have another game. So you have to look at the defense. It's just been really, really stout, and it's been led by that defensive line. But it's what you have to do. You rely on the defensive line, then the linebackers, then the safeties, and everybody just seems to be coming together on that defensive side of the ball. And every game that has been played, that defensive line has just been in the backfield and in the quarterback's faces.
Well, not only did they completely take away the run game, but they were on the quarterback almost as soon as he snapped it every play. And when you're like that every single play for an entire game, you're going to get fumbles, picks, sacks. So I think that's one thing that really proved helpful for the Rough Riders today in slowing down this offense.
And things didn't get started the way that the Rough Riders actually wanted on this one. The Keon Robinson pick six is what gave us the first score of the game, and New England led by a score of 6-0. But right away, Jarrett Brown comes back and finds Connor Arlia in the end zone for the touchdown. Arlia's first touchdown reception of the evening.
Well, we said at the beginning that they were going to have to get some mistakes from the Rough Riders. They got it to start the game, and they struck lucky, but after that, the offense just really couldn't get going.
So 7-6 at the end of the first quarter, and then the Rough Riders come back right away in the second quarter. A 3-yard pass from Jarrett Brown to Larry Beavers. Anthony Prevost mixed the extra point, but then he gets the Uno on the final play, and then the Rough Riders, they just seem to be rolling from that point on.
Yeah, as soon as we returned the kickoff in the second half especially, the momentum completely changed towards us. After the touchdown by New England, we thought that maybe that they were going to sneak their way back into this game. The Rough Riders stomped out that fire immediately.
They really did. And then Darrell Christian with a 1-yard run to end the first half, 21-6 in favor of the Rough Riders. And then it would be New England that would strike pay dirt first, or check that. The Rough Riders score first in the second half. Jarrett Brown finds Noel Devine from 4 yards out to make it a 28-6 lead. But then New England would answer back. Kind of that broken play where Sanders found Brandon, but then Garcia was able to recover the fumble to make it 28-14. But then the Rough Riders answer right back, Noel Devine, with the kickoff return for a touchdown.
The straw that broke the camel's back. You saw after that, they made a few other mistakes too. They got into it with the coach, the refs. That's really where the wheels fell off, and the Rough Riders are a team. They're going to take advantage of your mistakes.
So Noel Devine with that kick return touchdown. And then Brian Price just had to keep that streak going. And I asked him if he was going to do it. I said, I asked him this week at practice, so another pick six? And he keeps the streak going here at home with his third pick six of the season. And then New England, Gio Sanders would add the 1-yard run and the 2-point conversion to give it to the 41-22 lead. But Gio Sanders, he lived up to the hype for New England. A very, very phenomenal quarterback back there for the Bobcats.
Yeah, he did a great job of getting out of the pocket. He had a few really big runs. Credit the Roughriders defense for keeping him in check because he's one of the most explosive players that you're going to see in this league.
Noel Devine gets the kick return touchdown and a receiving touchdown. So 2 touchdowns on the evening once again for Noel Devine, making his presence felt. And once again, the Roughriders improving to 5-0 on the season. The Bobcats falling to 2-1. So, Alex, special thanks for joining us here tonight on the broadcast. Any final thoughts on tonight's game and going into next week against the Berg?
Well, first off, thanks for having me tonight, Chris. I really enjoyed it. A lot of thoughts going into next week. We're playing the Berg defenders again. Obviously, the first game wasn't so close. I think Coach Mook is going to continue to work on the same things. He's not going to be worried about the score next weekend or about the little things. I think we're really trying to improve heading towards the rest of the season and the playoffs.
Absolutely. Good stuff there from Alec Moran. Special thanks to Doug Lucas and everybody keeping us on the air all evening long. For Alec Moran, I'm Chris Thoburn. Your final score from West Banco Arena, the Roughriders 41 and the Bobcats 22. You've been listening to West Virginia Roughriders football.